There's something brewing behind the scenes in Cleveland, and honestly, it's way more complicated than it looks at first glance. Because when you hear the Browns might go after Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, the knee-jerk reaction is, all right, another QB, here we go again. But it's not that simple. What's really going on says a lot more about how the front office views the present and, more importantly, the future of this franchise. Let's break it down. The Browns head into this pre-draft stretch with a quarterback room that, on paper, still ain't settled. You've got Deshaun Watson coming back from injury, and that alone is a huge question mark. Then there's Shedeur Sanders, who finished last season as the starter but was up and down performance-wise. And Dillon Gabriel is there as a complementary piece. Now here's the interesting part. Andrew Berry hasn't shut the door on bringing in another QB, but he did drop a hint. He's leaning towards someone younger, competitive, a guy who can still grow within the system. So yeah, this isn't just about adding another name. It's about creating a real competition. Now here's where things get spicy. Two names popping up in trade talks, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. And this isn't just random chatter. It's coming from people who really follow the draft and the market. But these two, totally different profiles and very different risks. Let's start with Levis. He's probably the more traditional case, a QB who had some solid moments in Tennessee, but never fully locked down the job. Now, with changes in the Titans' depth chart, he's basically without a clear role. If the Browns are looking at him, the logic is pretty straightforward. Young enough to still develop, but already has NFL experience. But here's the catch. Levis isn't a blank slate. We've seen what he is on the field. Strong arm, but inconsistent reads and decision-making. So the real question becomes, do you believe that can be fixed in Cleveland's system? Now, Anthony Richardson? That's a whole different conversation. This takes things to another level. Richardson was a top 5 pick, freak athlete, off-the-charts physical upside, but also one of the rawest quarterbacks we've seen enter the league in years. And the biggest detail, the market for him is reportedly weak. That tells you a lot, because when a player with that kind of profile is available and nobody's making aggressive moves, it means teams have real doubts about his development. So if Cleveland jumps in, this isn't just a trade, it's a high-risk bet. And this is where it gets really interesting, because this move wouldn't just be about talent, it's about philosophy. What do the Browns want to be at quarterback? A team that values stability, or a team willing to swing big and take risks to find something special? If you look at the recent history, it's been a bit all over the place. That massive investment in Watson was clearly meant to lock down the position for good. But injuries, inconsistency, and everything surrounding that situation have left things wide open again. Now, bringing in someone like Levis or Richardson doesn't solve anything right away. In fact, it adds more uncertainty in the short term, but it could open doors in the midterm, and that's where Todd Monken comes in. He's already made it clear that the QB competition won't be equal for everyone. That matters. It means even if a new QB comes in, he's not necessarily starting from square one with the same opportunities. There's likely an early hierarchy, and based on what's been said, Sanders probably has the edge after how he finished last season. So picture this. You add Levis or Richardson to a room that already has Watson coming back, Sanders trying to prove himself, and Gabriel competing. That's not just depth, that's a full-on lab experiment. Now let's talk real impact. What actually changes if the Browns make this move? First, internal pressure. No quarterback is walking into that room feeling comfortable. Everyone knows they've got to produce, and fast. Second, shift in planning. If you bring in Richardson, for example, you're thinking beyond 2026. That's a development project, not an immediate fix. With Levis, the timeline is shorter. You want to see if he can function in the system right now. Now, here's my straight-up take. I get the logic, but there's a real risk of things getting scattered. The Browns still haven't figured out what they've got in-house. Watson is a massive question mark. Sanders showed flashes, but also plenty of mistakes. And now you'd be adding even more variables? That can turn into healthy competition, or it can turn into a lack of direction. If you're going to make a move, you better be damn sure. Richardson only makes sense if the staff truly believes they can develop him. This isn't about raw talent. It's about coaching. Levis, on the other hand, is the safer play, but with a lower ceiling. So the decision isn't just who's better, it's what path does this franchise want to take? Now let's talk scenarios. Best case scenario. You bring one of these guys in, the competition raises everyone's level, and someone clearly emerges. Whether that's Sanders taking a leap, Watson bouncing back, or the new guy shocking everybody. Worst case scenario. Nobody separates. The offense stays inconsistent, and you head into the season still unsure about the most important position in football. At that point, it's not about talent, it's about a lack of identity. And there's another layer to all this. The draft is still right there, and historically, when the Browns' front office keeps multiple doors open, it usually means they haven't picked one yet. That could be strategy, or it could be indecision. So let me ask you straight up. If you had to choose today, are you betting on Richardson's raw upside, Levis's experience, or do you think the Browns should just roll with what they've got and hit the draft? Because honestly, this decision might not define the season, but it could shape the direction of this franchise for years to come.